Welcome. You've arrived at another quiet corner of the past. Tonight we'll take our time, slowly unfolding a story not often told and rarely appreciated, the history of the humble pigeon. Not the city dweller you might pass without a glance, but its ancestor, the royal, revered and relentlessly tasked messenger pigeon, long before satellites spun in orbit. Before couriers sped across paved roads, and before the flicker of Morse code sparked through wires, it was the pigeon who bore the burdens of empire. This is a journey not of kings or warriors, but of wings, of feathers, of sky. We'll begin with the everyday exhaustion of a bird tasked with traversing battlefields and deserts, then drift into the remarkable tale of a single pigeon that changed the course of war. Later, we'll wander through towering pigeon houses in ancient Persia, strange and silent. And we'll end in the high stone castles of medieval Europe, where birds were symbols of wealth, loyalty, and favor. Let your thoughts loosen, let your eyes grow heavy, and imagine yourself, small and feathered, charting the wind across forgotten skies. Imagine this: you're not wearing armor, you're not marching with the soldiers, but your mission is just as vital. You weigh less than a pound. You're draped in soft grey feathers, and strapped to your leg is a sliver of parchment that could decide the fate of a kingdom. You are a royal messenger pigeon. The morning begins not with a sunrise stretch, but with a jolt, the creak of the coop door opening, the rustle of straw, and the sudden firm hand of a handler reaching for you. The leather capsule is tied to your leg with practiced care. Inside it, the fate of men. You were bred for this, trained from the day you broke through your shell. You've learned the way home. Always home. You've seen the route so many times you don't even think, you feel it. And then the release, a burst of air, a flap of wings, and the world falls away beneath you. The sky is your path now, but it's not peaceful. There's wind, first, not the soft breeze of a garden afternoon, but a cold, unpredictable buffet that throws you sideways. You adjust instinctively, body tilting, wings beating harder. Then there are the predators. You learned early. Hawks wait for birds like you. They know the route too. They hover near cliff faces and hover above war camps. One misstep, one stumble in your rhythm, and the skies belong to them. Still, you fly. Not because you know what's in the message, not because you choose to, but because you're wired to return. Always return. Below you, war may rage. A fortress may fall, a ship may list in the surf. You don't look. You only glide and climb and cut through the clouds like a whispered thought. Landing is no reward. The moment your claws touch down, the message is torn from your leg. No applause, no comfort, just a cracked seed perhaps, a brief rest, and before long another message, another leg tie, another flight. Some birds, the unlucky ones, flew through storms thick with rain, soaked feathers doubling their weight. Some never arrived, others returned injured, disoriented, or simply vanished. And yet the system thrived. Across continents and centuries, from pharaohs to field generals, the pigeon was trusted where men were not, where horses couldn't go, where silence was essential. The rhythm of a messenger pigeon's life was one of cycles, of endless return, of direction without understanding, of loyalty, born not from emotion, but from nature. And that's what made them perfect. You were never supposed to think. You were only supposed to fly. As the world changed below, kings rising, cities falling, and letters inked with hope or doom, your wings beat on, steady and silent. It was exhausting, but that was your purpose, and so you rested only in those brief, fluttering moments before the wind caught you once more. And now we turn our eyes to one pigeon in particular, a feathered soldier with a name, one who became a legend, not for how fast it flew, but for how far it flew despite everything in its path. Let us now drift forward from ancient skies to the smoke-thick air of a First World War battlefield. It is October 1918, and the woods of the Argonne in northeastern France are not quiet. They are not calm. They are not fit for life, feathered or otherwise. But into this chaos a bird is released. Her name is Cher Ami. It means dear friend in French. She was one of hundreds of pigeons trained by the U.S. Army Signal Corps, a last line of communication when wires were cut, radios failed, and men could not pass unseen. Now, imagine yourself again, not as a soldier in the trench, nor a general at the map table, but once more small, light, feathered. You are Cher Ami. Your coop has been dragged through mud. You've heard the cannon fire, the barked orders, the cries of men, and now a message is tied to your leg. The man's hands shake. His uniform is stained. There's a frantic hope in his eyes, the kind that knows you may not come back. The scroll is thin, only a few words, but it may be the only chance they have, because this is the Lost Battalion. Roughly 500 men trapped behind enemy lines, surrounded, cut off, firing on by their own allies who don't know they're still alive. 2 pigeons had already tried to carry the message. 2 never returned. You are the 3rd, released into smoke, into gunfire, into wind. It's not open air, it's a gauntlet. You rise because you must. You fly because you were born knowing only to go forward. But the German soldiers see you, a grey shape darting through trees, a potential enemy, a target. The first shot rips through the trees, then another, and you are hit. A bullet tears through your breast, another leg is shattered, one eye gone, but still you fly. The message capsule is now stained, not just with ink or weather, but with your blood. And still you fly. You cannot see well, you cannot breathe well, but the direction is etched deep in your mind, a compass that does not yield, and after 25 minutes in the air, with one leg dangling, wings stiffened, blood drying beneath feathers, you arrive, you land, and the message is taken. We are alive, for the love of God, stop firing. And they do, and 194 men are saved. Cher Ami did not die. She was tended to by medics with the same care they gave wounded soldiers. A wooden leg was fitted, her body was patched, her feathers cleaned. She became a symbol, not of war, but of resolve, of instinctive duty, of the simple, small persistence of life against all odds. She was awarded the Croix de Guerre, a French military honor. She was carried back to America. And when she passed, she was mounted and displayed in the Smithsonian Museum, where she still rests, a little pigeon in a glass case, her bravery silent but eternal. And even now, over a century later, you can stand before her and remember that once, in the sky above a shattered forest, a single bird flew through death and carried hope in a canister no larger than your finger. All because she did what pigeons do. She flew home. Now let the war fade behind you. Let the noise fall away until all you hear is the slow hush of wind across a desert plain. We travel east now and back, far from Europe's trenches, back to the warm, dry lands of ancient Persia, to a time before electricity, before gunpowder, before empire became empire. Here, in the quiet valleys and farmlands, you find strange, towering structures. Circular, tall, weathered. They rise like giant chess pieces from the dust. These are kabutakane, pigeon towers. And though they seem mysterious, even beautiful in their strange uniformity, they were not built for beauty, not for worship, not for defense. They were built for droppings. Imagine yourself here, not as a bird this time, but as a farmer's apprentice. The air is dry but not unpleasant. The soil is stubborn, and fertilizers is hard to come by. But you have birds, hundreds, sometimes thousands. The tower you tend is hollow inside, like a hive. Its thick mud brick walls curve in on themselves, insulating the interior from the harsh sun. Inside, a labyrinth of small holes, niches, carved one atop another, stacked in dizzying vertical spirals. Each hole is a nest, and each nest is home to a pair of pigeons. There are no doors on most of these towers, only narrow slits for the birds to come and go, spiraling in from the blue sky like petals on the wind. During the day, the birds leave. They forage, they feed from fields, from grain spills, from whatever nature offers. At night, they return, and with them, they bring their droppings. Not by accident, by design, because over time the floor of the tower becomes thick with guano, a word we often use for seabird droppings, but here no less potent. This substance is gold to a farmer, rich in nitrogen, potassium and phosphates, collected, dried, shoveled by hand, and then spread across stubborn fields to coax life from the reluctant soil. You do this not once, but many times a year. The pigeons are fed, watered, protected, not as pets, not as friends, but as workers, as quiet, fluttering partners in survival. And the towers, they are marvels of engineering. Some stand 15 meters high. Their exteriors are coated with lime or ash to repel snakes and insects. Their upper walls slope inward, making it difficult for climbing predators to enter. Ventilation holes are carefully placed to let hot air rise and escape, while cool air trickles in near the base. They are not temples, but they are sacred to the rhythm of daily life. Some towns had dozens, others hundreds. A quiet forest of mud brick silos, each pulsing softly with the coos and rustlings of thousands of unseen wings. They required no fuel, no electricity, just bird instinct and time. You can still find them if you go looking. In the central deserts of Iran, near Isfahan, Yazd and beyond, some remain standing, crumbling slightly, weathered by centuries of wind. Their interiors are quiet now. The pigeons are mostly gone, but if you stand still inside, you might still hear the echo of feathers, the soft stirrings of 1,000 generations, and the scent, still faintly earthy, still clinging to the walls. What once was waste became life, and what once was dismissed became essential. In Persia, the pigeons did not carry messages. They carried fertility. They fed fields, not armies, and their towers were monuments to quiet cooperation, a kind of contract, unspoken but lasting, between the sky and the soil. Let the wind of the Persian plateau settle behind you. Now, picture stone, cold, thick, moss-draped. You've entered the echoing walls of a medieval European manor, or perhaps a fortified castle perched atop a grassy hill. It's early morning. A fine mist rests over the courtyard, and beyond the clatter of hooves and servants' murmurs, you hear something softer, almost delicate. A low coo, a flutter, then silence. The birds are waking. We have left behind the farmer's field and the battlefield trench. Now we explore the dovecote of the noble. Here, pigeons are not laborers. They are prestige. You see, in medieval Europe, owning birds, especially pigeons and doves, was more than practicality. It was power. Lords and landowners constructed columbaria or dovecotes, freestanding structures, often round, sometimes shaped like towers or domes, built not only to house the birds, but to be seen, to say, I own enough land, enough wealth, enough status, to raise animals that neither plow nor pull. Their exteriors were sometimes plain, but often ornate, carved stone, crowned with finials, or tiled in patterns to catch the eye. Inside, hundreds of nesting holes climbed the walls. Roosts and perches lined the interior like amphitheaters in miniature. Some dovecotes were large enough to walk inside. Others required ladders or pulley systems to access the upper nests. And the birds themselves, fed grain, sometimes even small cakes of pressed seed and salt, tended by keepers who watched for illness, predators, or theft. Because pigeons, as strange as it may seem now, were a symbol of control. Their eggs and squabs, young birds, were delicacies. Their droppings still used as fertilizer, yes, but in this setting their primary value was social. A visiting noble might receive a pair of doves as a gift. Rare breeds, albino, crested, iridescent, were shown off like fine horses. In France and England, certain noble families held exclusive rights to build and maintain dovecotes, a kind of feathery monopoly. It was a visible reminder of hierarchy. The higher your class, the higher your birds flew. And when those same nobles walked their gardens, they'd pause under lattices where pigeons roosted and call them down with gentle whistles. Not for labor, not for war, but for pleasure. Their gentle coos, the shimmer of feathers in morning sun. These were luxuries, soothing, subtle, a living soundtrack to a life of wealth. Imagine yourself then, not as the lord or lady, but the bird keeper. You rise early, keys jingling at your side. Climb the dovecote ladder rung by rung. Check each nest, each hatchling, each fluttering wing. And at night, after the torches are doused and the hall's quiet, you hear them still. The soft rustle above your room, the sleepy murmur of roosting birds. A strange sort of comfort, feathers in the rafters, nobility in the sky. And sometimes, when guests were away and the manor was still, you'd stand outside the dovecote and watch them spiral. Just pigeons, yes, but each wing beat a reminder of old stone and silent respite, and lives lived half in shadow. They were not heroes like Cher Ami, not laborers like those in Persia, but in their quiet, ornamental way, they were still part of the grand, strange tapestry of human history. We raised them, we built for them, and in return, they graced our skies. And now, as the candle of history burns low and the soft hum of time quiets into the background, let's take one last look back at the journey we've taken, from clawed cliffs to courtly halls, from war zones to wheat fields, following the humble path of a pigeon, a creature so often overlooked, and yet if you look closely, you'll see their feathers woven into every age of human history. They were not just birds, they were carriers of fate, flying over oceans and trenches, cradling messages that could end wars or start them. Like Cher Ami, flying blind, torn by shrapnel, yet determined, a testament to the quiet endurance of life in motion. They were farmers' partners. In ancient Persia, they brought not news but nourishment, not letters, but life, fertilizing stubborn soil with a silent, rhythmic generosity, thousands of wings beating in service of the harvest. They were also emblems. In medieval castles, they were less about purpose and more about pride, symbols of status, kept not in cages but in towers, nourished, admired, whispered about like fine art or rare gems. 3 worlds, 3 pigeon stories, 1 thread, a simple bird, shaped by human need, and what a strange need it was, not loud, not glamorous, not revolutionary, just reliable, repetitive, a fluttering background to our louder moments, a kind of living infrastructure, a companion to empire, to agriculture, to vanity. In the great arc of human civilization, there are the stars of the stage, generals, kings, inventors. But in the wings, there are the pigeons. They never asked to be heroes. They never knew the weight tied to their feet, but they flew anyway. So tonight, as you lie in comfort, your walls warm, your messages instant, your fields fed by machines, spare a gentle thought for the bird that once stitched the world together with nothing more than 2 wings and a thread of faith. Sleep well, and may your dreams be feather light.